You could be doing well in life, making progress, improving yourself, and still feel like you're falling behind. Not because you're failing, but because someone else seems to be doing better. Someone richer, more attractive, more successful, more confident. And no matter how much you achieve, there always seems to be another person who has more. So why do we constantly compare ourselves to others? And why has it become harder than ever to stop?
Hello, everyone. This is The Quiet Signal, where we explore the psychology behind the world around us.
Comparison is one of the most common human experiences. Everyone does it. Students compare grades, workers compare salaries, friends compare lifestyles, and millions of people compare their entire lives to strangers on the internet. Most people think comparison is a personal weakness, but it isn't. The truth is much deeper. Comparison is built into human psychology. It helped our ancestors survive. But in the modern world, the same instinct that once protected us may now be making us miserable.
For most of human history, humans lived in small groups. In those groups, understanding your position mattered. Who was stronger? Who had more resources? Who was respected? Who was successful? Comparing yourself to others helped you understand where you stood. And knowing where you stood could determine your chances of survival. So over thousands of years, the human brain evolved to constantly evaluate itself against other people. Not because humans were insecure, but because comparison once had a practical purpose. The problem is that our brains never evolved for the world we live in today. Our instincts remain ancient, but our environment has completely changed.
For most of history, people compared themselves to a few dozen individuals. Family, friends, neighbors, maybe a few local leaders. Today, a single person can compare themselves to millions. Every day, every hour, every minute. Open any social media app. Within seconds, you'll see people traveling the world, people buying luxury cars, people getting married, people building businesses, people becoming famous, people living lives that appear perfect. And the brain doesn't always recognize that these are carefully selected highlights. Emotionally, it treats them as reality. So even if your life is objectively improving, it can still feel inadequate. Because comparison is no longer local, it's global. One of the biggest psychological traps is this. You compare your behind-the-scenes life to someone else's highlight reel. You see their victories, but not their failures. You see their confidence, but not their anxiety. You see their success, but not the years of struggle that came before it. Social media creates an illusion that everyone else is happier, more productive, more attractive, more successful, when in reality, everyone is hiding parts of their lives. The result? A distorted perception of reality. And when perception becomes distorted, self-worth often follows. Many people believe, if I become successful enough, I'll stop comparing myself.
But comparison doesn't work that way. Because comparison isn't about what you have. It's about what someone else has. A person making $30,000 may compare themselves to someone making $60,000. A person making $100,000 may compare themselves to someone making $500,000. A millionaire may compare themselves to a billionaire. The target simply moves, which means comparison has no finish line, no final destination, no point where the brain suddenly says, "That's enough." There will always be someone richer, smarter, more attractive, more successful. Always. And that's exactly why comparison becomes an endless cycle. The real danger of comparison isn't jealousy, it's distraction. Because while you're focused on someone else's life, you're no longer focused on your own. You stop noticing your progress. You stop appreciating your achievements. You stop recognizing how far you've already come. And slowly, your self-worth becomes dependent on other people. Not your growth, not your values, not your goals. Other people. That's a dangerous place to be. Because it gives strangers control over how you feel about yourself. There is one comparison that can actually be useful. Comparing yourself to your past self. Not to influencers, not to celebrities, not to people you barely know. To the person you were yesterday, last year, 5 years ago. Because real growth isn't about becoming better than everyone else. It's about becoming better than who you used to be. And unlike social media, that comparison is honest. It's real. And it's entirely within your control. The modern world has turned comparison into a constant background noise. Every scroll, every post, every success story, every carefully edited image. A reminder that someone else appears to have more. But appearances are often deceptive, and chasing someone else's life is a race that can never be won. Because there will always be another person ahead, another achievement, another standard, another comparison. The question isn't whether comparison exists. It always will. The real question is this: how much of your life are you willing to spend measuring yourself against people who aren't living your life? And perhaps the most valuable thing you can remember is that the person you're comparing yourself to today may be comparing themselves to someone else tomorrow. And the cycle continues until someone decides to step out of it. Subscribe to understand better human psychology